Go! Run him. Stay on. That him, boy. Angela, that's a sack on the ball. Good job.
All right, welcome everybody to our first real episode here of Brothers Blitz. That's right.
Yeah.
I am Jordan, and this is
Bucs.
Yes, that's right.
Live from Virginia.
That's right. Well, we're recording ourselves.
Not live.
So
yeah,
yeah, not live. Slight delay, but very, very little editing because I don't have the time for it. So,
Fair.
but since the NFL season is about to start, we are going to be getting into our picks for the year here. So
Yeah.
That's right. We're going to go all the way through.
Some of which surprised even both of us.
That's right. So hopefully it should be good to see where we landed, and we don't know each other's results right now, so we're gonna just kind of see where we both landed with everything. But it sounded like you were surprised a little bit.
Yeah, I was. As I went through, I kind of picked, and some of the teams that I thought I was high on, I wasn't as much as I thought, and then some of the teams I was kind of lower on, I kind of looked at their schedule and looked at the coaching changes and things like that and went, actually, you know what? This may actually work out to them winning more games than I thought. So I just kind of rolled with those two things and just kind of picked on, hey, week to week, if everything holds up, do I think this team could beat them? If the answer was yes, I picked that team. Early spoiler, Tampa Bay was one of my bigger surprise teams that I picked in favor of.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Man.
So, because that was kind of the thing when I went week to week, because it's like you have in your head, like, oh, I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be bad. But then when you start going through week to week, you're like, oh, actually, I'm higher on this team than I thought. I'm lower on this team than I thought, because now the schedule is coming into play and who I think is going to be good, who I think is going to be bad, and where the toss-ups are and where I went with the toss-ups.
Right.
There. So,
yeah,
it's definitely interesting. So we are going to be starting with the NFC here.
you just want to go, East first?
Sure. Yeah, we can start with the NFC East.
I had Washington at 6-11.
Oh, okay.
I think Sam Howell will be decent, but with everything that we all know what's gone on with Washington, I still think there's going to be some growing pains there, no matter what. I have the Giants kind of stepping back a little bit, going 8-9. I still think they'll be solid, but their schedule is now a little bit tougher now. I have the Eagles regressing a little bit. I have them in second, and I weirdly have Dallas in first.
Okay. What were the records?
I think I have Dallas's record at 14-3. Like I looked through it and I just went, if based on their talent, like Dallas should win the majority of their games based on offense and defense. They should win the majority of their games. Well, they won 12 games last year and they won, I think, 12 the year before. So winning 14 with an extra game isn't out of the realm of possibility, I thought.
Sure.
They're supposed to be Super Bowl contenders. And if you're Super Bowl contenders, you're going to win, in theory, about 12 to 14 games. I came out of that a little shocked myself, but then I looked back on it and went, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like, again, I think the Eagles will regress a little bit because they lost some really key pieces on defense, whilst Dallas kept all of their key pieces on defense. Like, the only real significant loss they had was Zeke, but that wasn't really that significant considering he wasn't that big. He wasn't that big of a part of the offense at the end of the season. It was mostly Pollard by that time. So could I see them flip-flopping? 100%.
Yeah, I guess it's the big thing that people are, it depends on how much you feel that Kellen Moore leaving as offense coordinator ends up being. That's a big thing. It's just like, I think it's going to be huge going where McCarthy now gets control of the offense. But also, I mean, even though they lost Zeke, they did add Brandon Cooks, who's just super solid.
Right.
of a receiver. And so that's I think that was a really big get that, I mean, some people talk about, but not with as much significance as they could. Cause I'm like, he was still putting up numbers on the crappy Texans teams. I mean,
right.
He's just really
he's
solid.
One of those like ultimate under the radar guys that just puts up numbers and you just don't ever hear about it because he does it so quietly.
Yeah. And so that was good to get somebody else in their receiver room because they definitely needed that because you could definitely once they got rid of Amari, you could definitely feel that. So that is interesting. So what I ended up with was the Commanders at 3-14. So I'm much lower on the Commanders than you are.
Lower on the Commanders.
I had the Giants at 7-10. So I think they're stepping back a little bit. And I actually had the Cowboys and Eagles were tied at 12-5. But
okay, so we're not that far off. We had the Giants about the same.
No, I just had the Eagles just end up winning the tiebreaker because they had a better division record. I actually had them. I didn't realize this, but I had them at 6-0 in the division. That's probably not going to happen.
No, but that's like that. Well, that was one of the factors I played into when I was picking those games. Like, even though even when the Eagles are better than the Cowboys, they somehow weirdly struggle.
Yeah.
In Dallas, like always, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean,
I think I had them going 5-1 in the division. The only game they lost was in Dallas.
Yeah, in division games, I mean, it's just how it works sometimes.
It's a total crapshoot.
Yeah, you just don't know. You just don't know, and so and that's where sometimes upsets could come through too. So I was surprised that I did that. I didn't really realize it till I clicked it through. But who knows? There could also be a loss somewhere that's going to end up being a win for them. But yeah, so I ended up with them being pretty even, which is kind of been pretty even. So I guess it's really not that much different. I just have the records being a little bit different there. So yeah, they did both end up making the playoffs for me though. So at the 12-5, which makes sense.
I think that was probably where most people were going to end up. Like both these teams are most likely going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. So that was the NFC East. So our order was pretty much the same. It's just that the Eagles for me had the tiebreaker.
You had the tiebreaker. Yeah. I just had the Cowboys winning a couple more games.
Yeah. I just don't know about the Commanders. It's just how it clicked out too, like just when I was picking stuff. But yeah,
I mean, that for me all depends on. I think their culture is going to change in a very positive way. But now for me, it's like. Now you just have to see how Sam Howell is going to play. If he ends up being a little bit above average, can the Commanders win 9 games?
Yeah,
I think so. Their defense is good enough, and they have enough. I think they have enough on offense to make well, at least be competitive and at least be in the race down the stretch.
Yeah.
And even if they win 9 games, they won't necessarily make the playoffs. But I can see them possibly winning 9 games for sure.
And then we'll see what new name they have as a team next year. Very exciting. So all right, well that's interesting. So Cowboys fans are gonna like you more, and Eagles fans are probably still not gonna like me because I have them tied with the Cowboys and just winning the title.
Correct. Yeah.
So I just don't know. The thing too with the Eagles is, I don't know. I think it's a lot to lose both your offensive and defensive coordinators in the same season. I think you can overcome easily losing one. It's just weird to lose both. And that just feels like maybe that cost them, a couple games.
Yeah, and not only did they lose those coordinators, they lost a few of those key pieces on defense too. One of them to the 49ers, which is now one of their main rivals.
Yeah.
So to me, I think that absolutely factored into why there were some close games where I thought, could the Eagles win? Yeah, but do I think they will? No, because they lost both those coordinators and their defensive pieces. These games that they would have won the last couple of years, I don't think. I love Jalen Hurts, but I don't even think he can pull them out of this one. And those were away games for the most part, and deeper into the season. Like I just don't think that whole team is there since they lost so many of those significant pieces.
Yeah. So what would you have their record being?
11-6.
Oh, okay.
Still pretty high.
So you had them one game less than I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of see some similar.
Because they're still a very, very good team and absolutely a contender in a very weak NFC.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, so what do we want to do next here?
I would say let's just keep going alphabetically and go NFC North.
Okay.
Where I have the Lions taking the division by a decent bit.
Oh, okay. All right. So, well, let me do mine first since you did yours first on the last one.
Sure.
So my bottom
I just
again,
gave
it's
you
just
mine
the YouTube audience gets to see this right now.
Well, I got the Lions. I got the Lions taking the division.
Well, so do I. So what I have is I have at the bottom is the Bears at 7-10, and then I have the Vikings at 8-9. I have the Packers at 9-8, and then I have the Lions winning it at 10-7.
Okay, so that's definitely where we differ. So I have the Packers at 9-8 as well. I'm still low on the Bears. I have them at 4-13.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty
and
low.
I have the Vikings. I have the Vikings at 10-7.
Oh, okay.
Because I think the Vikings offense is good enough to bail them out, but they're not going to get this. They're not going to get this bullshit field goal stuff in the end. So while they finish, 13-4 or 12-5, they're going to lose 2 or 3 of those games and end up winning 9 or 10 games.
Yeah.
So, and I have them pegged at 10 based on their schedule. I have them at 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had them just a little bit lower. I mean, just a 2-game difference. It's just we probably just had a couple of games where it was just like, oh, I actually think they'll probably lose this one, and you went the other way with it.
Yeah, and that was like there was a couple of their games where I went, it can go either way, but based on what they've already been through, I just thought the Vikings keep finding a way to pull these games out.
Yeah.
I think they'll find it. I think they'll find another way again, and they'll end up winning 10 of these games somehow out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, it does happen. I think they're gonna take a small step backwards, and then
for sure. That's why I have them winning 10 games.
Yeah,
not,
and then
13.
I wonder if they're gonna. I wonder if they're gonna do a Kirk Cousins moving off of Kirk Cousins, or not.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. I think they'll roll with Cousins the entire season.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Here, but we'll see. I mean, they still didn't do a whole lot to improve their defense, and that's kind of what concerns me. Like again, like I can see them winning 10 games because their offense is good enough, but can I see them also going all the way back to 6 or 7 wins? 100%. But I believe in their offense enough that they'll pull some wins out in some shootouts that they shouldn't have won.
Yeah. Well, they just gave Hawkinson a huge tight end contract.
I saw that, yeah. But now I may have adjusted this now that Dalvin Cook is signed with the Jets. So he's not there as Cousins is.
Yeah. But he wasn't great last year anyway, though. I mean, he had a tough year last year anyway. They feel pretty good with Mattinson.
I guess so.
So we'll see. I mean, the running back thing, it's like, I mean, they can make a difference, but when Cousins definitely improved on his throwing last year, Justin Jefferson obviously is just amazing, and then Hawkinson's great, and if Mattinson's just good.
Wait, who's Justin Jefferson?
I think he's from some animated TV show with a flying car.
Oh, okay, yeah. But no, I agree. Like between Hawkinson and Jefferson, like losing Dalvin Cook isn't the worst. Adam Thielen was obviously he's way older. He's taken 2 or 3 steps back. He wasn't even a factor last year.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think they may be okay because like I'm with. So this is something I've thought about. Like I am with running backs and like. What they go through is really tough.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, when you do reach, and I think that their rookie contracts should be more because they're more valuable the younger they are. But at the same time, I'm going, man, like for guys like Josh Jacobs and Nick Chubb or even Jonathan Taylor, like you guys are 26, 27, like you guys are about to fall off a cliff really hard. Like I get why owners don't want to pay you, but that means you're more valuable when you're younger, which means you should be paid more when you're younger, like entering the league as a rookie. Like, even like you have a 1 year, let's even say a 1 year rookie deal, you prove yourself, and then after that you get paid like this very handsome amount of money, and then you go from there.
Yeah, or I think one thing you could...
it's not fair to the running backs that they have to put their bodies through this, and then by the time they hit free agency at 26, 27, these same owners are going, "You're too old. You've already put in 5 years with us, but you're too old and your body's too broken down. We're not going to pay you."
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing you could do is you could allow the position to negotiate a deal earlier also, because with the rookie contracts, you can only start negotiating so late. So it could be, I think that could be one possibility, because it's hard to just go, well, this position just is going to get an extra sum of money, because then you've got other positions be like, well, we put our bodies on the line too. We've got all of that. But I think you could at least say, oh, running, you could possibly do that with the running back position of going, we've got the stats, right? We know that, once the closer you get to 30, it starts getting a lot tougher on the running back side, more so than really any other position. And so I think, yeah, maybe if you just said, oh, okay, well, the rookie contracts for the running backs are just shorter. And, so they can go hit free agency earlier or get signed earlier. So that way, if they prove themselves in those first couple, 2 or 3 years instead of a 5-year thing or something like that, if it's a first rounder, then they can.
I was going to say, like, most rookie contracts or first rounders are 5 years, right?
If you do the option, if you pick up their 5th year option.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a lot.
Running backs, I think it should be. I think it should be 3 years.
Yeah.
Because with running backs, they're proving themselves within 3 years, and then they need to get paid between those 4th and 8 years. Like between, if they come out of college at 22, they prove themselves by the year 20 by when they turn 25. Like from 25 to 29, that's when they need to be paid the most, because that's when they're at their peak physical prime, and that's when they're the most productive. You need to pay them for that.
Yeah. All right. So that had nothing to do with the divisions and teams.
It did not. But the running back controversy is so huge in the NFL right now. Like, it's kind of natural that we were going to talk about that at some point.
All right. So we've done the East, we've done the North. So I actually did end up with the Packers making the playoffs. By the way, they ended up as a 7.
I think I did too.
Did they? Yeah.
Actually. No, never mind. I had them right out. I had them at 9 and 8.
Oh, I mean, I had them at 9 and 8, but they made it in with the way it went for me. So that's funny.
That's fair.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Okay, so let's go on to
NFC South?
South, yeah.
Yeah, so the NFC South is the one I really wanted to talk about.
Oh, really? The one where who knows?
Yeah, like, who knows? Because, well, it's the most fun. So, like, the Saints defense was really good, and they suffered from, they ultimately suffered from very inconsistent quarterback play. And now you got Derek Carr in there, and you can say what you want, what he did in Oakland or what happened in Oakland, but most of that wasn't his fault. He was a very good quarterback in Oakland and / Las Vegas. And now that the Saints have that stability, that was a almost fringe playoff team last year with 8 wins with inconsistency at quarterback. You throw Derek Carr in there, that team can win 11 games for sure.
I don't have them winning that much, but I do have them winning the division.
I have them in Tampa Bay tied.
Wow. Okay, so what's your order?
Or no,
what's your order? And
I have Tampa Bay at I have Tampa Bay at 10 and 7 and also making the playoffs.
Wow, Baker Mayfield believer over here.
A little bit, yeah. No, because the offense that's being installed in Tampa Bay was the one that worked in Cleveland, like very heavy play action with some decent run game. That's where Baker thrives. That's why that brief period in Cleveland where he succeeded, that kind of that style of offense worked, and that's being installed in Tampa Bay. and I think he's gonna be all right.
I mean, plus
Tampa Bay has the weapons already.
And Godwin and Evans are obviously top-notch.
Correct.
Receivers.
Like that's the thing. Like he's got those weapons. You institute a little play action. I think Baker's going to do all right. Like that's almost a playoff caliber roster already. So yeah, I'll gamble on Baker for a year. So that's a weak division anyways.
What are all your records then for the division?
I got the Saints at 11-6, the Bucs at 10-7.
And then who?
And then the Panthers and Falcons missing the playoffs. I have the Falcons at 9-8 and the Panthers at 5-12.
Wow.
Like I think Bryce Young will be good, but the Panthers will still have their struggles with a rookie QB being thrown into the fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I ended up, again, YouTube people, you get first peek at it. So just to go for the difference here. So I had the Saints top of the division, 9-8. They went 5-1 in the division for me. Then I had the Falcons and the Panthers tied at 7-10.
You had the Bucs in the basement?
I had the Bucs in the basement at 2-15.
Wow.
I went the complete opposite way. I was like, dumpster fire, trade deadline, Evans is probably gone, Godwin's probably gone, Baker's probably not even starting at that point. Like I went the other way.
But even when I was picking at it, it's not like everybody's just sleeping on this Bucs team that still has a really good receiving core and a really good defense. Like Brady was old, and like there were just some weird parts there. Like for me, it would take a personality like Baker to come in and be like, "Hey,
yeah,
I can change this, and I can make this a playoff team now." That's just me. I am also a Baker fan. I really like the dude.
It's going to be so interesting to see how this turns out since we were so opposite on it.
I know.
One of us is going to look stupid, or they're going to go like 7.
I was going to say, if Baker ends up winning a Super Bowl, I'm going to look so smart.
Yeah. Or they're going to end up like 6-11 or 7-10. They're going to be right in the middle of us or something.
Yeah, right. Both stupid.
Yeah. But anyway, that's so funny that it's so volatile. It is. The thing is, it is a weak division. So I mean, I don't.
And I thought about that
too. There is a world to me where the Bucs just run through the division. I don't have them doing that, obviously, but it's like, I mean, I wouldn't be crazy surprised if they just somehow snuck in and won the division at, 8-9, 9-8, or something like that. Wouldn't be like a
or
huge
even 10-7,
surprise.
because if they went 5-1 in the division, all they'd have to do is go 5-6 outside of it, and they're in.
Yeah. I don't see them as double digit though. I mean, they weren't double digit last year. So,
it's true, but they were also a mess last year because the Brady thing, like you didn't know what was happening with him. He retired, then he unretired, and it was all so bizarre. What was going on. And for me too, like Baker's trying to prove himself one last time. Like he came in with the Rams, he played all right. He's trying to prove himself one last time. Like, give me the right offense, give me the right coach, I can be okay. That team is very intriguing to me. Yeah. Do I think they'll win the Super Bowl? No.
I hope not.
Do I think they'll be better than
if you thought they were winning the Super Bowl, I'd have to call a wellness check on you. There would be a medical professional be coming into your apartment now, being like, "Sir, we are a bit concerned. Somebody is concerned about your well-being."
He thinks that Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers legitimately can win the Super Bowl. We're concerned about that.
Yeah. And he's not from
Tampa
Bay.
I don't think they can win the Super Bowl, but I don't think they'll be anywhere near as bad as people think they will be.
I mean, that does happen though sometimes, where it's just like we're just automatically down on a team for whatever reason, and then it turns out. Actually, a perfect example is last year was the Seahawks. Everybody just assumed the Seahawks were going to be terrible. It looked like they're going to be terrible. Like it's Geno Smith. They're going to be terrible, but they're fine being terrible because they've got all these picks. They're going to bring in all these young people, and they're going to start rebuilding. And, so, I mean, it does happen. So, right, it could be a similar thing where just like Baker's coming in. That's a throwaway. Everything's a throwaway there. This team's not going to really be competitive. And then who knows? So it's definitely possible. All right.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and.
And one last thought on that Baker part was like, he was so close to beating Mahomes and the Chiefs in Kansas City. It was that reception fumble at the goal line where the Chiefs had the ball, ended up getting the ball back, that changed the tide of the game. But if that ended up being a touchdown, the Chiefs lose that game.
Yeah.
And then everybody thinks of Baker in a completely different light because he ends up beating Mahomes in Kansas City. Like it is weird how that how narratives change and even how people's brains think, because like one simple thing happened that it wasn't even his fault. Like it wasn't Baker's fault that his receiver ended up fumbling the ball at the 1 yard line and made it a touchback to give the Chiefs the ball again. That wasn't Baker's fault.
Yeah.
But people make it Baker's fault. So he's a bad quarterback now.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he's definitely not the worst.
Yeah, we'll see. It's just I just can't believe we were so opposite on.
I'm sort of high on the Bucs. I really am.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sort of high on the Bucs.
We still got a lot to get through, so let's go ahead and go over to the NFC West, and we'll round out the NFC here. I guess I'll start with this one since you started the last one. So here's where I ended up. I ended up with Niners top at 13-4. The Seahawks.
Hey, I did the same thing.
Seahawks.
Oh no, wait, no, not the same.
I had the Seahawks at 10-7, the Rams at 4-13, and then I had the Cardinals at 1-16. I think I had them beating Houston. It was like their one.
Yeah, I had. So we're not. Our order is the exact same. I have the Niners at 15-2.
Woo! Wow.
Yeah, I was. There may be a little bit Homer bias for future listeners.
Yeah.
Like we stated in our first pod.
Yeah.
There may have been some bias there, and I apologize for that.
Yeah, well,
But
it's our show.
I got the
It's our show.
What's
Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah,
it's our
that's
show.
true.
That's
true. I have nobody else making the playoffs in the NFC West except the Niners.
Oh, okay. I mean,
I had the Seahawks at 8-9 because look, for me, it's like Geno at 32 or 33 years old, way overperformed.
Mm-hmm.
And yet Kenneth Walker from Michigan State, he was lights out, and then the Seahawks got way worse when he got hurt. Even when he comes back, is he going to be the same dynamic running back that he was coming out? Yeah. And like you had all these dudes overperforming, and they still barely finished above 500.
Yeah.
Do I think that that's going to happen again? Is that repeatable? No. But do I think they're good enough to again be a fringe playoff team? Yeah, that's why I had them at around 8-9. Like, and there could be a couple games where they flip flop and end up 9-8 or 10-7.
Well, yeah, and that's it because I do also feel like that there's people are kind of assuming. I feel like I hear a lot where people just assume, well, Geno was good last year, so he'll be even better a second year as a starter. It's like, but he's in his 30s. I mean, to me, at best, he's probably around the same, right? But I do think it was. I do think it's definitely possible it was a little fluky, and that he looked solid.
And something people don't talk about was that Geno was really, really good in the first half of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But the Seahawks started out 6-2 and then ended up 9-8. Once defenses and these other teams caught on to what the Seahawks were doing, they started adjusting, and then the Seahawks started losing, and then the Niners ended up overtaking them and dominating.
And I think what kind of
what's to say now you've got a whole year of film on the Seahawks doing what they've done with Geno. They haven't changed their offense a whole lot. So the Seahawks themselves have to adjust. Like Pete Carroll has to adjust now he didn't adjust really well at the end of the year last year. He's going to have to prove now that he has adjusted over the offseason to make me believe that this team can now win 10, 11, or 12 games.
Yeah, and I think I think the only reason why I probably end up giving them a couple more wins is because they had so many young players on defense when the defense did play pretty good for having as many rookies as they had playing, and they're probably going to be better. So I think maybe I just sort of like went, I think there could be, I think Gino's either going to be the same or a little bit worse. I don't think he's going to fall off the cliff or anything, but I don't think he's going to get like
no, I don't think so
substantially
either.
better. I think it's going to be, you're going to get about the same or you're going to get worse because, well, there is the stuff that you're talking about. That's the stuff that that's my concerns on the Gino side is it's like, you know, is he really more, is it more just people expected less from him? And then so since he exceeded those expectations, people are like, wow, like this is amazing. Like this is only going to get better. And it's like, well, what if it gets worse?
Right.
Because now people know what they're doing against him and how they were kind of working around what Gino could do. So who knows? You know,
yeah, right.
I think it's definitely possible. I know some people are picking the Seahawks to even win the division.
Which is nuts to me.
You know,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, some of it's just like, oh, you know, maybe you just don't want it. I mean, the Niners are probably the easy pick. So sometimes,
like maybe you want to be
different.
Like, and I get that. Like, oh, I want to be different and controversial. I'm going to pick the Seahawks, but yeah.
So
like, come on.
So seeding wise, we actually both had the Niners as the number 1 seed then.
Yeah. This is what I was gonna say. For the NFC West, I have the Cardinals winless.
Oh, you know,
I have them going 0-17. I don't think they'll win a game. I really don't.
They may not. Honestly, I mean, I had them.
They are such a mess.
Yeah.
I don't think they win a game. Even when Kyler comes back, again, they are such a mess. I don't know
if he's going to come back.
I don't think they win a game.
That's the thing. I don't know if he's going to come back because I don't know if he's going to want to.
Neither do I. Right, and that was part of my process. I don't think he's going to come. I don't even think he wants to come back. Like, this is such a mess of a situation in franchise. I don't think he would want to come back.
And I don't think they're going to want him to come back because it's like,
no,
if you come back, we're going to have a better chance of winning these games, and we don't want that.
Right.
We want Caleb Williams, you know, like
I was going to say, we want Caleb Williams.
Now, one thing I think is possible is a trade deadline. Kyler Murray gets moved for a team that maybe either has an injury or is doing well, but QB wise is struggling. You know, I don't know. You know, like maybe they're like, oh, we're kind of there, or who knows what. I think there could be a trade deadline thing with Kyler.
But who would he go to if that's the case? Like who's good enough, but without like even a semi decent QB.
So let's say that your hype on the Bucs is doing well, but Baker's still struggling. So it's like, okay, you know, we've been getting by because our receivers are good, our defense is playing well, you know, and it's like, but this isn't working with Baker, and let's bring in Kyler, or even like maybe like a Vikings, you know, because the Vikings could be like, not have Kirk for the rest of the year anyway. Maybe they wouldn't even necessarily switch him out, but maybe they'd be like, but we can get Kyler now, and that's our future plan, you know, because we have a good team. We don't want to go to a rookie quarterback, but Kyler's young. You know, he obviously has the big deal though, so that's the hard part is the money. But I think on Kyler's the money.
Maybe even the Titans at that point.
Oh,
they move on from Tannehill.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, who knows? Because they just, you know, they've got 2 quarterbacks that they've drafted in 2 years, so they may not want to make that.
The Titans are also a mess.
Yeah.
The Titans are a mess.
Yeah. All right. So so seeding wise, so I had, let me just double check. So I had 49ers at number 1. Eagles,
so did I.
Number 2, Lions.
I had Dallas at number 2.
Yeah, Lions number 3, Saints 4 because they won their division in mine. Cowboys 5, Seahawks 6, and Packers sneak in at the 7th spot.
So I had Niners 1, Dallas 2, Lions 3, and then Saints 4 because they all won their division.
Yep.
And then I had Eagles 5. Vikings 6 and Buccaneers 7.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think the Bucs sneak in there.
Interesting. All right. So that's fun. We had some differences there. That's always good.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
AFC.
We're not just like channeling our own. We're not just like going off our. We're not just like channeling each other. Like, hey, wait, no, I think this is why they'll win.
Yeah. So
Good.
AFC side then here.
AFC. AFC East is fascinating to me.
Yeah. So you know what? Let's do this. Let's you know why? Because people who have the West teams, they always end up last. Let's start behind. Let's start with AFC West.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
we'll move opposite. Opposite.
Yeah, well, I have the Chiefs at 16-1.
And then what's your rest? What's it? Yeah, what's your record say?
AFC West by like
16-1.
yeah,
Do you remember what their loss
I
was?
mean, it's the Chiefs. It's just like I've watched them enough at this point. I'm like, where is this team gonna lose?
Do you remember where their loss
I have
was?
nobody else in the AFC West making the playoffs.
Okay, but what are their records?
8-9 for the Chargers, 5-12 for the Broncos, 3-14 for the Raiders.
Wow. Okay.
I have the AFC North dominating.
Okay. Well. So here's what I had though.
I think between the Bengals, Steelers, and Ravens, like some combination of those three are gonna make it.
So here's what I had for the West is I had the Chiefs atop at 13-4. Then I had
15 minutes.
Yeah. So I had Chiefs atop at 13-4. I had the Chargers at 11-6. I had the Broncos at 10-7. So I'm much higher on the Broncos than you are.
Yeah, I'm still not high on the Broncos. Like Sean Payton, be damned, I'm still not high on them.
And then I had the Raiders at 7-10 at the bottom.
You're much higher on the AFC West than I am.
Apparently, it sounds like. Now, hold on. Let me double check.
Well, I mean, from what I've seen over the last few years of the AFC West, I'm just like, I don't believe in any of you. I can't.
I think the Kellen Moore addition for the offensive coordinating is going to make a big difference for the Chargers. Now, I did have them. I still don't know about Staley though. I mean, as the head coach side, I am still not positive. So I could definitely see them. What did you have them as? You had them as an 8-win or something like that?
Yeah, I think I had the Chargers at 8-9.
Yeah, like I could see that.
Yeah,
and then Staley gets fired.
And that was my biggest concern was Staley. Like that dude's clock management and decision making is so bad.
Yeah. And
then I even said to I remember this tweet I sent to somebody I strictly follow on Twitter. Was that like I always thought it would be funny to see a Chargers Falcons Super Bowl, but then that would never happen because the Chargers can never stop charging and the Falcons can't stop falconing.
Yeah.
And no matter the talent the Chargers have, and I thought about that with even this podcast, like, yeah, they have Justin Herbert and all these offenses, but they're the Chargers. They can't stop charging. Until they stop doing that, I won't believe in them.
It's tough. I don't know. So I think it's definitely possible they're sort of on the mediocre side, but maybe the offense looks better, and then maybe they get rid of Staley. Maybe Kellen Moore gets that spot. That's why.
And I think Kellen Moore deserves a shot at head coaching.
Yeah, and I was surprised. That they kept Staley though. When there was a chance,
I was too.
When there was a chance,
especially after last year when they blew that lead to the Jaguars, I was.
Yeah. Plus,
like, how is this dude still the head coach?
Yeah. Plus, with Sean Payton on the market, like it just seemed surprising. Like he was actively looking. It seemed like it would be a great situation. I know he met with the Chargers, so maybe it just didn't go as well. Maybe they just.
Well, and also, man, like maybe Payton himself preferred the Broncos situation over the Chargers.
That would seem a little crazy, even though I'm higher on the Broncos. But I'm only higher on the Broncos because of Peyton. I don't think Russell Wilson was as bad. It is definitely, I mean, as Sean Payton said himself, I think it's very possible that it was just such a bad coaching situation that everything was just so crap. And this is a much better team than what was on the field. Now, I still don't have them making the playoffs, though. So they just
I think Sean Payton will bring them back into relevance. To me, I still think Wilson is just washed up.
Mm.
In my opinion, I think he's just done. Because there were like even some of those games that I watched where he had protection, some of those throws that he missed, I just went like, holy shit, how are you a starter still? Like some of these throws you're missing are god awful. Which is insane. I know we're just fans here and we've never thrown an NFL pass on an NFL field, but holy crap, there were some times where I just went, you've lost it, man. Like, and I hated you for years as a 49ers fan. But you have lost it. What happened to you?
I still think so. But yeah, I guess that's where I landed on I think it's an aberration. I don't think he's going to be the same guy, but I think there's still a competent quarterback in there. And I think he'll be able to run a much more efficient offense so that they'll do better. Again, I mean, I have them as a winning record. 10-7 is not anything terrible, but I still have them missing the playoffs. So let me start with mine for the AFC South since you started with the West. So AFC South, I definitely have the Jaguars number one easily. So I have the Jaguars easily winning the division at 13-4. I had them 5-1 in the division. Then I have
okay. Yeah. What did you say you had them at?
13-4.
I have them at 14-3. So all right, right about
just a one game difference. Then I have I'll just go through my list so that way. So then I have the Titans at 7-10. I have the Colts at 5-12, and I have the Texans at 3-14.
Wow. So we agree on the Texans. I have the Titans at also 3-14.
Whoa.
And I have the Colts at 2-15.
Wow, you really took it to that division.
I'm sorry, but I don't believe in that division at all. Like the Colts did nothing to improve their offensive line. Mm-hmm. And they're actively trying to shop their best player, saying he's not worthy of a contract, but also saying he is worthy of a contract with the price they're asking. That team is a hot mess. So even if Anthony Richardson is beyond talented, they're still not going to win more than 2 or 3 games because that team is that much of a mess. With the Titans, they fell apart in the second half of last season. I think that that falling apart is going to continue to happen. I think they're just old and they're beat up with the style of football that they have played. Mm-hmm. They're just beat up and they're going to keep losing. The Jaguars are also young and they're athletic and they're just better than they are.
Yeah. Well, so the only reason why I have the Titans at 7-10 is I do think Vrabel seems to be a pretty solid coach. And I think it's just one of those situations where you have solid enough coaching that you just get a few more wins just based off of your good coaching.
I mean,
your guys
possible.
Are prepared. Yeah. I have them at 7-10, so it's not like I'm not like high on
right.
It's just sort of like I think Vrabel's floor is is around 7 wins. I just think that's his floor as a coach. That I think he's good enough in that arena. But who knows? Because Tannehill could fall off a cliff at any moment. Derrick Henry, who knows, could fall off a cliff at any moment.
Like if Tannehill falls off a cliff with your already aging, beat up roster, now you're totally screwed.
Yeah, unless if Malik Willis or Will Levis turn out to be really good,
like weirdly generational quarterbacks, then you're screwed.
Yeah. So it's just sort of like,
but neither of them have shown any flashes that they can or even possibly could be.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess my total is going. I think, I think the DeAndre Hopkins pickup was good. I think that also helps them out a little bit. Not like an amazing amount.
I thought it was weird that DeAndre chose Tennessee out of all the other teams. I thought that was weird.
I think he just went where the money was. That was where he was getting more money. So
agreed. With the
whatever.
money and then with what he thought is still a decent enough team to make a legitimate shot. But if I were him, I guess it's hard to say, but if I were him, look, I would take a slight pay cut to go to Kansas City or
Yeah.
San
But some people
Francisco
are
or
different. It's maybe
Philadelphia, like one of these teams that are like already, well, Kansas City's already won. Philly and San Francisco are on the cusp. Or hell, even if I sign with Dallas, like that could put them over the hump.
Yeah, yeah. So, but anyway, I think I think if Tannehill's about the same, even if Henry's just a freak of nature, so even if he's not quite as good, I mean, an 80% Derrick Henry, I think it gets them to 7. I think it just sort of like gets them to be fine.
That's fair.
And then I think they go, well, we have to do some real overhaul because this is going to get worse and worse and worse. Like
right.
If they kept
I just like personally, I just think that whole franchise is a dumpster fire, and all that drama and all that stuff they have going on is just, it's going to overwhelm the entire locker room. And no matter how good of a coach Mike Vrabel is, I think that's even going to overwhelm him. And I think the Titans are just going to fall apart.
Yeah.
From the get-go.
Yeah.
Obviously, I could be wrong. Like, maybe Mike Vrabel, like you said, like, he's that good of a coach. Maybe he'll somehow will this team to 8 or 9 wins. But based on the rest of the AFC and based on how they collapsed last season, I don't see them winning more than 3 or 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Wow. All right. So, but we both just have the Jaguars being the only team making the playoffs, which makes sense from that.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, and the Jags are a well-built roster. Like Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, and I think they're going to get better. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a roster that's getting better.
Like it's a young team with the same roster intact that has only gotten better. Yeah. And now they have that playoff experience of coming back against the Chargers in that insane game.
And this is Trevor Lawrence's second season with
third
Doug
year.
Peterson. Well,
second season with Doug Peterson, right.
Because the first year it's like such an aberration of a year. So I think I honestly think if I had money to put down on Trevor Lawrence for MVP, I would put it down.
I would too.
Yeah.
If somebody was like, "Hey, you got $100 left over of some random bets. Trevor Lawrence is 50 to 1. Yeah, I'll put $100 down on that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
It doesn't mean he is going to win, but I think it's good. I think it would definitely be a good bet to me because he's, they love giving it to new guys. They love it.
That's
first
one,
winner, he's
and then they also love giving it to guys who revive franchises.
Exactly. Yeah, he's probably a future face of the league. There because right now obviously it's like Mahomes and probably Allen or maybe Hurts.
But now he could be the face of the southern part of the league with all the Florida teams in New Orleans, any southern part of the United States. Like he's the face of the NFL.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the Jaguars are going to be really good this year. They're going to definitely be a force to reckon with. All right,
so I think it's fun. For me, it's fun when random teams like that are good.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Jaguars since they started just because, I was a kid and I love Jaguars. And I was like, oh, they have a Jaguar on their helmet. I love this team. So go Mark Brunell.
Well, I watched an NFL Films video today of like really good players that you forgot were really good, and Mark Brunell was on that list.
Yeah, he was.
And I was like, man, Mark Brunell was good. That guy was also left-handed, just like me.
Yeah,
that was an expansion. Number 8, just like Steve Young. Like, it was awesome.
That was an expansion team that was making the playoffs. Like that's not, that's
he went to 2 AFC Championship games in 5 years. Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah, I was trying to remember who was their running back.
Fred Taylor.
Fred Taylor, thank you. I was like so struggling with that yesterday. Okay, so
AFC North.
The AFC North now. So let's get
this one. This one was really, really fun for me.
Yeah, I was pretty. Yeah, I was surprised. Well, why don't you go through your teams and their records?
Well, I have the Bengals finishing first because even if Joe Burrow's hurt, the Bengals are still they're that good on offense. They're gonna win. I have the Steelers right behind them. I think Kenny Pickett makes a decent jump. I had the Bengals at 13-4. I had the Steelers I also had the Steelers at 13-4. Wow. I think I would change a couple of those games if I went back and did it, because a couple of those games that I picked for them to win were honestly kind of pick'ems.
Sure.
Um,
Oh,
and
I had a
based
lot
on
of I had a lot of those with the Steelers where I was like,
yeah. So, like for me, it was kind of pick 'em. But would I be surprised if Pittsburgh won 11 games? No,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be. Like their team is good enough. If Kenny progresses enough, that this is a team as a rookie that already won 9 games. Could they win 11 games? Absolutely. But the Bengals are still the toast of the division. I think they win. I think they win 12 to 13 games. I think Pittsburgh and Baltimore are kind of right on each other's knees. And then Cleveland, it all depends on our least favorite player in sports, in Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
What
did you have the record at?
It sucks to say, if Deshaun Watson is good, Cleveland could win 12 or 13 games. Absolutely. Their defense is good enough. They have enough weapons on offense. They can win 12 or 13 games. If Deshaun is bad, they'll win 6.
Yeah.
Maybe 7.
Yeah. What did you have the record being?
Cleveland, I had 7-10.
Okay. So you had Cleveland 7-10. You had Bengals winning at 13-4. I
had the Ravens at 10-7 and Pittsburgh at 13-4. But again, Pittsburgh, they had about 3 or 4 games that were kind of toss-ups that I gave to them.
Yeah. So I ended up with.
So I also wouldn't be surprised if they ended up going, 10-7 or 11-6.
So I ended up with Bengals winning at 13-4 also.
Hey.
I had the Steelers and the Ravens tied at 12-5.
Okay, so you're not that far behind.
And I was much lower on the Browns. I think the Deshaun Watson thing is going to be historically bad. And I think it's toxic, and I think it's a bad situation. I think he's going to struggle to get back to his form, and I think it could be a cleaning house after this year. I have the Browns at 3-14.
Wow.
I think it's going to be a cleaning house year for Cleveland. I think it's going to be like, we messed up everything. We got to get a new coach. We got to get a new thing. And maybe
there is a YouTube guy that I follow, and he kind of he echoes what you're saying. It's either like Deshaun's going to succeed, or if he doesn't, Cleveland's franchise is now going to be set back about 10 years.
Well, yeah, because they still got him. You're going to have him under contract for a while. So So my guess would be Deshaun's going to get another chance, but they're going to get rid of Stefanski, and they're going to get rid of the entire. Huh?
You think they're going to get rid of Stefanski if they don't succeed this year?
If they go what I'm projecting them to go at 3-14, yeah.
Oh, well, that's fair.
I think so. I think they're definitely be like, because I think they're going to have to stick with Deshaun because of the money and the contract, and it's all guaranteed. Right. So they're going to go, we just need, and maybe they would need that. Maybe it would be like, they made a bad decision. It's not working. They need to try somebody else who doesn't have any connection with Deshaun, who doesn't, I don't know what, but I think it could be a dumpster fire year for them. I mean, obviously I could be wrong, but that's kind of where, and that's just from me picking. That's just sort of where I ended up. I just realized, man, I have no faith in, because it's true. Like, they don't have a terrible defense, right?
No.
They have good players.
They don't have a terrible team.
No,
in general.
They have good players.
They're basically hinging on really solid / to good quarterback play, and they'll be a very formidable team.
Yeah. So I'm definitely willing to be wrong here. I mean, I think it could be a possible quick turnaround, but I'm not sure. I think, like I said, it could be historically bad with Deshaun, and they're not going to get rid of him even after this year, because it'll only be the third year of a fully guaranteed contract. It's not like anybody's going to trade for it. Like,
nobody's going to want to take on that shit. No way.
Yeah, and you're not going to want to cut him because it's just all dead money.
Right.
You save nothing because you guaranteed the whole thing. You're dumb. So I think it's going to go down historically. So if that happens this year, it'll be great because there will be no more Trey Lance 49ers trade talk. It'll just be, look how historically bad this contract thing was. But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of where I landed.
Sucks, though, that it would take a kind of sucks that it takes a literal sexual predator to be like, oh, cool, the pressure's off on my team now.
But yeah, but I do have all of the Bengals, Ravens, Steelers all making the playoffs. So
So do I.
Yeah.
I have all three of them making the playoffs.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, because I think the Ravens are gonna. I think they're always solid. Again, they have a very both them and the Steelers have a high floor. Like they're not.
They do.
Teams that,
they always do. Like even despite their injuries or whatever they go through, like they're always weirdly.
They have good
right.
coaching. They just
They do.
Tomlin
They're
and
just
Harbaugh.
like right there.
They just have so they're always going to be within that 500 range, and then it's just from year to year, do they get a few extra wins to get into the playoffs and be one of the top teams, or is it just one of the more closer to 500 years? So, and I think the offense, even though people are like, well, it's different, they're changing up the offense. It's like, yeah, but aren't most of us agreeing that it's going to be a better offense though? So even if it takes them a couple weeks to sort of get it together. I think
like the Ravens letting go of Greg Roman is only going to help them.
Yeah.
In the long run, because Greg Roman was conservative on offense.
Yeah.
And Lamar was doing what he was doing on a leash. Now you got an offensive coordinator that's going, hey, I'm going to unleash your full potential and let you do what you do best.
Yeah.
So now we're really going to see what Lamar is capable of.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be good. I think they're an easy one for an improvement. Yeah, and I think Pickett's going to be better. I don't think he needs to be amazing. I think he's going to be.
No, agreed.
I think he's going to be good. And
it's just like, so this is. Hang on, I got to grab my computer charger. Be right back.
We're going to take a little break. Maybe I should just keep this in. This is Jordan's solo, a spot where he gets the monologue about something.
Yeah, there you go.
You're
an actor, monologue.
Yeah. Jordan's monologue moment. The M&M.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm gonna have to edit a lot more in this one than our last one.
Yeah, probably. Well, I was gonna say with Kenny Pickett, you know what's interesting to me with him is that he requires development, and the NFL now just doesn't allow that to happen. Like I've been watching a bunch of old NFL film stuff. From the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and these quarterbacks that ended up being really successful weren't successful right off the bat. Like they needed 2 to 3 years to learn, to actually learn and even adjust to the NFL, and now we're not allowing that, and people are already calling Kenny Pickett a bust because look where Pittsburgh drafted him. He didn't bring them to the playoffs. Like, well, no, but he also wasn't terrible, and he was actually pretty solid as a rookie. Like, yeah, he didn't take them to the playoffs, but he was also in a really competitive division with Joe Burrow, by the way, and Lamar Jackson, like two potentially generational quarterbacks.
Yeah, and
like if you expect him to be that way right off the bat, like that's kind of insane.
Yeah, no, and he got better as the year went on, which is what you want to see,
right? Exactly.
From a rookie. You just want to see, okay, are you picking up on stuff? Are you starting to figure it out and things? So yeah, I think and Tomlin is a great coach, and they've got good receivers, they've got a good running back, they've got and obviously their defense is really good. So it's just sort of like they've got a lot of pieces. So as long as he's good, he doesn't have to be great. As long as he's good, I think you've got you've got a double-digit win team.
Agreed. So,
yeah. Okay, well that's interesting there. So we're both.
That was the AFC North, everyone.
Yeah. So we're gonna finish up here with the AFC East.
Oh man, what a division!
So yeah, it turned out pretty interesting for me. I gotta say, I think I'm increasing the possibility that I'm gonna look like a complete dweeb here and just completely ineffective as a.
Well, I'm really curious as to what you have everybody at, because I have identical records for 2 teams and then identical records for the other 2
Mine
teams.
Is so tight too. Yeah, everything is like really right there, and I can't believe I landed like it, honestly. But I was like, well, I went through, picked the games, and this is what happened. So I guess all right. So let me just go through.
Yeah, please start, because yours sounds more interesting than mine.
So I ended up all 4 teams double-digit win teams.
Wow.
Is where I ended
so that's
up.
different than mine.
But only one of them made the playoffs because of tiebreakers and everything. So,
okay.
Yeah,
I had 2 of them making the playoffs.
Yeah, it's just the way it worked out with the tiebreaker. The Chargers had a tiebreaker over them. Oh, probably because they had a better division record. So I have the Dolphins and Patriots tied at 11-6 atop the division. With the Dolphins winning.
Dolphins and Patriots.
Yeah, I know.
That's random.
Yeah, at 11-6, and then I had the Jets and Bills tied at 10-7.
Wow.
So like all very good, but just that's I do think the Bills are going to take a step back. I think I would not be surprised. I mean, obviously I wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs, but I'm also not going to be surprised if they do not make the playoffs. I think it's a very, very possible. I think I don't know how I ended up. I mean, now with the Dolphins, you're just hoping Tua is what he was before all the concussions.
Yeah, that was my main concern with the Dolphins, which is why I ended up picking against them for the most part.
Sure.
If Tua even gets even slightly hurt, that team is screwed.
Yeah. Maybe they're in a Kyler Murray trade.
They might be. I mean, they literally might be. I still had the Dolphins at 8 wins because I think their offense is good enough, even without Tua.
Yeah, I mean,
but if Tua goes down, they're done.
So here's the things I'm worried about with the Dolphins and why I'm a little like really going out on a limb here. And I'm like, man, I could really look like a fool at the end of the year for this. One is the Tua thing, right? It's like just who knows? Like this could go really poorly. He could either get injured again. Obviously, he could also just not be the same. He could be timid. He could be a little more shy because of the concussions. Concussions also, by the way, they mess with your brain. And if you don't know this, your brain is an important part of your body.
I didn't know that.
So, yeah. So that's a little known fact. But so that could be affecting all of that. 2, it is, I don't think he is, but we see this happen. You see coaches that are the hot flashes in a pan. And that could be Mike McDaniel. He could be a hot flash in the pan. Right. He looked great. He looked amazing last year. Teams start looking at it, and we have to see what kind of adjustments he can make, because any good offense has to adjust. If he keeps doing the same things, it's like, how effective is it going to be? I mean, I just don't know. So I could if he turns out to just sort of be the flash in the pan, he seemed like the hot new coach, and then turns out he's not. And then if Tua is not anywhere close to where he was last year, this could be a much smaller. This could be like a 6-win, team. It could be. Fair. It could be.
Yeah, fair.
Who knows where? So it's all a very But I end up with them. I guess I ended up pretty decently high on the Patriots. I guess I didn't realize that was going to happen either.
You're definitely higher on the Patriots than I am.
Yeah, probably a good amount of people.
I have the Patriots at 8 and 9.
Okay, yeah, so you got them 3 wins more than me. Yeah, so that's a
I have the Bills and the Jets at 12 and 5, both.
So you flipped. You're the flipped version.
Yeah, I basically flipped it. Yeah,
interesting. So they're tied. Who won the tiebreaker?
Even if Rodgers has gone downhill, which I think he has, the team around him, especially with that defense, that team almost made the playoffs with Zach Wilson as their quarterback, for God's sake. Yep. Like, even if Rodgers misses throws, which he has the last couple years, he's way better than Zach Wilson. So, for me, bottom line, like, that team's winning 10 games, probably at minimum.
Well, that's what I have them at. I mean, I have them at 10.
Yeah, well, I'm saying at minimum they're winning 10, but they're probably, because Rodgers is still good enough, they'll win 12. They'll somehow pull a couple of these games out that they shouldn't, and they'll win 12 games.
I mean, I think it's
That's
I think it's I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
no.
Yeah. So who won the
I have them in the
tiebreaker?
Bills 1-2 and flip-flopping if anything.
Who won the tiebreaker though between them for you when you?
The Bills won the tiebreaker.
Nice. So then, what was your record for the Dolphins and for the Patriots?
8-9 each
For both. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, 8-9.
So
yeah.
it's funny.
The Bills won the tiebreaker. So the Bills won the tiebreaker by going 4-2 in the division, and the Jets went 2-4.
So that's really funny that we had them pairs tied, but they're flipped.
Yeah,
where they are within the division. So I have Dolphins Patriots tied atop.
It's like with the Jets too. It's like I thought about this is that even when they were good in like those Chad Pennington years and in those Mark Sanchez's years, they really did struggle on the road for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Like minus those random Patriots wins with the Mark Sanchez, Rex Ryan years.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, they struggled on the road. So for me, it's like I don't trust this team not at home. So like if they have 9 games at home, I trust that they'll go probably 8-1 and then go 4-4 on the road.
Sure.
Or 3-5 on the road if they end up going 9-0 at home.
Yeah.
I just don't trust that team on the road.
Yeah. I think it's kind of it's just funny how that turned out. Yeah. So like I said, I could really look like a dweeb at the end.
All of us.
I know, but it's like, but I think but I think guessing Bills Patriots is more respectable. I mean, not Bills Jets. I mean, more respectable of a guess. Like just like even if it doesn't turn out the way I think at the end, people would go, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." I think if the Patriots and the Dolphins go the way you're thinking, or even worse, people are going to be like, "How did you even think the Dolphins and the Patriots were going to be the top 2?
We're going to be right.
It's like it's going to be, but if they do it, then I'm like, I'm a genius, But it's
right.
Yeah. So that's.
And then if they go the way that you did, that you say you're the genius and I'm now the idiot, like, oh, how could you?
But I think you're less of an idiot though than if it goes opposite for me. I think you're less of an idiot because I think that makes sense. I think people are going, yeah, the Bills, they won the division past couple years. And we expect the Jets to jump up a little bit because of Aaron Rodgers. So even if it turns out wrong, people go, oh, yeah, but I understand why you picked the Bills and Jets.
Oh, that's true.
Versus I think the other way, I think people go, why did you pick the Dolphins and Patriots as the top 2 in the division? Like, I think a little bit more of a limb. So, all right, let's get into the playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs. Yeah.
Playoffs? Yeah. So I ended up. So here's how I ended up. Let's go. I'm starting with let's start wild card AFC since we just talked about the AFC.
Yeah, wild card. That's okay. That's what's first on my side too.
Okay, so I
have Bills Steelers as the first game in the wild card, and I took the Bills.
I had Steelers Dolphins, and I took the Dolphins.
Okay.
Again, I could look like an idiot.
Yeah, right. I could too. Like maybe the Steelers like shock the world, but I still think I still think the Steelers. I still think the Bills end up making it past the first round.
The Bills didn't make the playoffs for me. So.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. The Bills did make the playoffs for me.
Yeah.
Next, I had Bengals Jets as the second wild card, and then I had the Bengals beating the Jets.
I had my next one because the Bengals were the number 1 seed for me. So I had Ravens Chiefs.
Oh.
And I went for it. I decided to go for it, and I said the Ravens beat the Chiefs. So
wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Going for it.
Chiefs losing the divisional round.
Yeah. I think it's just going to be a shocker.
Wild card round.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a shocker. I think it's just going to be a shocker. I don't think it's going to be indicative of anything. I think it's just going to be like, wow, I didn't see that coming. I think it's just going to be one of those.
Because I had the Ravens as the 7th seed losing to the Jaguars in the first round.
See, I had the Chargers as the 7th seed losing to the Jaguars. So,
would you in the NFC? I think we both had the Niners as 1-1.
So Yeah. We both.
I had the Niners 1.
Yeah, me too. Yep. So I
had Dallas. I had Dallas as 2, beating Tampa Bay. Detroit as 3, beating Minnesota. Eagles as 5, beating number 4, New Orleans.
Okay, so I had Eagles number 2 beating Green Bay. I decided to, again, I guess I'm just going for things. I decided to have the Seahawks were number 6. I had them beating the Lions.
Wow.
And then I had the Cowboys at number 5 beating New Orleans, which I think would be an easy one. I think that would just
I mean, I really do think Seattle's going to take that much of a step back.
Might.
I really do.
They might. So
like they were overperforming out of their ass last year, and they still barely made it.
I think what I'm doing is I'm overcorrecting because I live in Seattle. It's like I'm overcorrecting because I'm like, it's like now it's like I won't be disappointed if they do win that much because like, well, I picked them to do that, so it was an expected reality.
Right.
But if they do much worse, it's like, sweet. Seahawks are much worse.
Sweet, this team that I hate is now not performing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it could be that. It could just be my brain's like, hey, let's protect yourself mentally. If we pick them to win a bunch, and they do win, then it's like, oh, okay, that's fine. That was in the expectations. Yeah,
and even in I will say in my picks, like I was trying not to be biased against Seattle.
Of course I wasn't.
But I was just like, I see that team regressing because again, like they overachieved like nobody's business, and they still barely made it.
Yeah,
last year, and then in the back half of the third quarter, and then through the fourth quarter against the 49ers in the playoffs. They got manhandled.
Yeah.
But like I don't believe in that team. I just don't.
Right.
Like they barely made it as it was, and then they got crushed in the second half.
Yeah, I think it's entirely possible. I'm definitely would not be shocked at all with the result of the Seahawks missing out and just doing worse in general.
I'd be okay with it.
All right, so that takes us then to the divisional round. So I had in the AFC, I'll just give you both of them. I had the Jaguars beating the Dolphins, and I had the Bengals beating the Ravens.
So, hang on, divisional round.
Yeah. And I think while you're looking, so I mean I have them Jaguars and Bengals are the number 1 and the number 2 seed, so it's not really
I have the Chiefs as the number 1, right. But I have the Bills getting revenge on the Chiefs in Kansas City to go to the championship.
Nice.
And then I have the Bengals beating Jacksonville. I have a Bengals-Bills showdown in the AFC Championship game.
All right.
And on my NFC, I have a Niners-Cowboys showdown in the NFC Championship game.
That's what I have, too. So I have the Cowboys beating the Eagles, and then the Niners beating the Seahawks.
So I have the Cowboys beating the Lions, and the Niners beating the Seahawks.
Nice.
That's what I have.
Wait, I thought you didn't have the Seahawks in the playoffs.
Sorry, Eagles.
Okay. You're getting your birds mixed up.
I know, stupid bird teams.
Yeah. So,
I have the Niners beating the Eagles, getting revenge, and then going to the championship game.
Okay. Where they're facing the Cowboys. Also, we both have Niners Cowboys.
Yeah,
we're taking that.
I have Bills Bengals in the AFC Championship, and then I have the Bengals beating the Bills again.
So we're revitalizing the early mid-90s Cowboys Niners championship games.
Correct. And then we're also revisiting the Bengals Niners Super Bowls in the 80s for me. I have a Bengals Niners. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's what I was double checking because I also have a Bengals 49ers Super Bowl.
Yep, that's what I have too.
Oh, wow. We ended up in the same.
I got a rematch of the 80s. Bengals, Niners.
Same round. We are homers. Look at us.
I mean, if I didn't really think the 49ers could make it, I wouldn't pick them, but...
Well, yeah, I think people are way too low on Purdy, for one. I think it's still, like, unbelievable to people. So I think they're just going, there's just no way. There's no way. There's no way. And it's like, yeah, but you said that for like 7 games last year. Every time.
Right.
Even when they got to the playoffs, like, there's no way.
I think back to over 20 years ago when people said that about Brady. There's no way he could do that again.
Yeah.
Like, he won that first Super Bowl because nobody knew who he was or what he was doing. No way he could do that again.
And the defense was so good. Yeah. So I mean, that's why I had the 49ers winning, because I think they finally do it. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Bengals also finally doing it, but I think with it being a lot of the same guys in the Niners, I think they're hungry enough for it. I think Shanahan's pissed off enough about it, and I think I think Purdy is a legit guy. I mean, now how good? I don't know how good he'll end up being overall, but I think he's legit. I think he's legit enough to be better than Garoppolo, and Garoppolo got them to the Super Bowl. And I think this is better.
This point, like, I was going to say, even with all the doubters, I think Purdy himself is probably pissed off enough himself to go, pardon my language, listeners, but like, fuck you, I'm going to do this.
Sure. Yeah.
Because of all you doubters, like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. And I think this is a better team than the team that they went to the Super Bowl with Garoppolo. You know.
Oh, 100%. I agree. Yeah.
I mean, I think the only legitimate question, minus like if you have questions about Purdy, but I think the only legitimate question, which I don't think is going to be a massive factor, was DeMeco Ryan such a good defensive coach that it's a little bit harder on the defense, and because his adjustments were pretty great. But Wilkes is good. I mean, he did well in Carolina with not a great team.
Not a great defense, right?
Even if
he made Carolina formidable especially in the second half of last season.
Yeah, and I think they've improved the defensive line with Hargraves coming in, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it. I think I think they're going to get the deal done with Bosa. I think that they seem.
I was going to say that's my biggest concern, is that I know it's going to happen, but holy crap, I want to see it be official. Like, just sign Bosa.
Yeah.
For the love of everything in this world, sign Bosa.
And so I think that's going to be. I think that's going to be great. Some of the other guys like Hufnega is going to be better because second year, coming in. I said that right, did I? Did I say
Who's
name?
that?
The safety. What did I just mess up his name?
Hufanga?
I said Hufnega. I switched up some syllables. Yeah. So I think he's going to be better going in for another, second year. And second year starting and everything. And I think I think they've made enough improvements with the defensive side that even if you're taking a small step back going from DeMeco Ryans to Steve Wilkes, it's still going to be a top 10 defense. And I think the offense is going to be
because the talent
better.
is obviously there.
Yeah. And I think the offense is going to be better because I think Debo's going to be better this year because he talked about stuff where he had problems last year. Obviously, Ayuk really came on last year a lot.
Yes,
McCaffrey's got a full year.
Purdy also formed this relationship with Kittle that Jimmy G never did. That was huge, and now we're gonna get a full season of that.
Yeah, and a full Christian McCaffrey
there
year.
did seem like, because there did seem like times where even as good as Kittle was, teams when Jimmy G was there was starting thought and even figured out like, hey, we don't have to focus on Kittle because Jimmy G doesn't throw to that dude. So he kind of becomes obsolete, but now Purdy throws to him. So now defenses have to go, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Now we got to deal with Debo and Ayuk. Now we have to deal with Kittle too.
And then also just for fun,
we had Jimmy G not throwing to Kittle. Yeah. We had to deal with these two guys, but not Kittle. Now we got to deal with all three. Oh, also, now they have CMC in the backfield.
Yeah. Who also, they may also just sometimes put him out wide just for fun.
Right, really.
So then you're like, whatever. And Elijah Mitchell's a very good second back to have, too.
And that, too. Yeah, right.
So it's...
That's where I think, like, that's where I've always kind of been on Shanahan's side of, like, I think he actually very much loves Jimmy G, but like that dude limited me in what I wanted to do on offense. And I honestly think it was the same for Matt Ryan too. Like that, these dudes, I need some mobility, and these dudes just don't have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I need that. The way my offense is designed and the way it's schemed, I don't need a Patrick Mahomes mobility, but I need some.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to be able to move around a little, you know.
Right. I need some, and these guys can't do it. And that's why guys like Kittle under Jimmy G just didn't get targeted, because sometimes with those tight ends, like you gotta be able to move around, and those tight ends kind of gotta work their own magic to get open, and Jimmy G just couldn't do that.
Yeah, so it's funny that we ended up with the same exact Super Bowl, even though we had some decent differences for things. So that's pretty funny. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So one last thing before we go is I thought it might be fun.
Great.
So do you have an upset for that week?
That's what we were going to talk about. Upsets. Yes, I do. I thought I did.
So to introduce the suspect.
Yes, I do. I have the.
Hold on. I said I'm going to introduce this because I think it's something we should do every week. So we're going to go every week during the season. We are going to be doing our weekly upset. So each one of us will tell the other who our upset is. We don't know who our upsets are here. And so let's start here with Fox. What is your weekly upset? And for fun, give us a score too. Just decide on a score.
I have the Patriots beating the Eagles in week 1.
All right.
And I think if they beat them, I think it's a defensive battle. I think the Patriots win 20-17.
So this is really funny because I was looking at my picks. There's 2 I think you could probably consider an upset. One of mine was the Patriots over the Eagles. But since you have that one, I'll just go ahead and go with my other one.
I'm curious now.
Which isn't, I don't know if it would be a massive upset. I haven't looked at the favorite, or anything, the lines, but I have the Jets beating the Bills week 1. So I think the Jets are going to start out a little hot with that. I think they're going to feel high and mighty. With a week 1 win. I think the defense is going to come ready to play. I think the Stephon Diggs stuff is going to be hanging around, causing some problems for the Bills early on. And the Bills, I don't think they have an amazing defense. So I think it's going to be a little bit easier for Rodgers to get going that way. So I'm going to say that the Jets are going to beat the Bills week 1, 30-20.
Ooh, a 10.2 score difference.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think people are going to be, and then I think people are going to be like, the Jets, we told you, the Jets.
Yeah. Hey, that's fair.
So
that was my thought with the Patriots over the Eagles. Because it's in New England, it's week 1. I think Belichick's gonna want to try to put the hammer down on Jalen Hurts, and people are gonna go, see, the Jalen Hurts and the Eagles weren't as good as they thought they were. See,
and week 1 is weird. You do get those games where like people go, is this team not good? What was that one year where was it? I can't remember who it was. There was some team that beat the Saints by a crap ton of points. It was 40 something to whatever. And people were like, "Oh my god, we're not high enough on this team." It's that happens all the time in week 1 where that
happened with that happened with the Patriots and Chiefs when the Chiefs blew the Patriots out on that Monday night, and the Patriots fell to 2-4 and then didn't.
Well, that was early on, but I just mean in week 1, you usually in week 1 you usually see a team or two do much better.
I know what you're talking about. That was I think one of those was the Packers getting beat down.
Maybe.
And people going, wait, are the Packers bad? And then they just rattled off 9 wins in a row. Oh, wait, no, they're still good. It was just week 1, and they
Yeah, and just weird stuff
week
happens.
1.
Yeah, just weird things.
Yeah, like stuff happens
Maybe
week 1.
was it to the Saints? Maybe they lost to the Saints.
Yeah, maybe. I can't remember.
I remember.
But
yeah.
I always think back to Bill Simmons and Cousin Sal talking about that. Like, week 1 is such a crapshoot because you don't
so hard
know.
to pick. Yeah,
it's so hard to pick. You don't know what teams are gonna be. You don't know what their identity is gonna end up being. Like, teams that are Super Bowl contenders. I mean, again, like, take the Bengals last year. You know, and Joe Burrow throwing 4 interceptions of people going, are the Bengals bad? And then they end up going back to the AFC Championship game. Like, no, it was week 1. It was a weird fluke. Yeah. Burrow had a crap game. It was just random.
Yeah.
It was just random. It happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
So you really don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think it just happens. I think week 1 is hard, and I think there's always going to be some teams who do better than you expect, and then people start going, "Ooh, maybe they're." I mean, I know it was in a monsoon, but the Bears beating the Niners week 1 last year.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like, look at last year. People went, "Wait, are the Bears actually bad?" Even after the Niners game, because they started out 2-1. I remember seeing a dude on Twitter going, "NFL pundits think the Bears are going to end 3-14. They're 2-1. Do they really think they're going to lose 13 of their next 14 games?" Well, yeah. And then they did.
Well, and it's like if you watch,
they just kind of got lucky.
And if you watch the games, you saw it. You know, it's like if you watch,
like you saw, like, this team is not very good.
Yeah, it's not. This is early year luck. The first one was the monsoon game. So and then just that one ridiculous pass that Justin Fields made, you know, across the field when he like ran away from the entire defense. And then
that like lob that somehow ended up being a completed pass. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
How did that
it was
happen?
in the air forever, but the guy was so wide open it didn't matter. You know, so that stuff happens. So we'll see what happens for week 1. But so there we go. That is our
those are our predictions.
Yeah, for the year. So Bengals and Niners fans are going to be very happy to know that we've already predicted that's who's going to the Super Bowl. So we already know. You barely even have to watch the season. So if you were thinking about getting NFL Game Pass, you might as well not. We already told you who's going to the Super Bowl.
We already and we already told you the 49ers are going to win. Both of us did.
Yeah. So you know what? Start celebrating, everybody. Well, everybody who's a fan. Start celebrating.
Just start buying Super Bowl 50. Yeah. What do we have? 56 now?
Yeah.
7.
Yeah. Sadly, I don't think the
start buying Super Bowl San Francisco 49ers Super Bowl 50 whatever champion.
Yeah, and I don't think the memorabilia is available yet, but just keep an eye.
Well, place your pre-order.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's going to happen.
And place your bets. You might as well place them.
Yeah.
Now. So,
yeah, go place them now because we obviously know better than everybody.
All right, so we will be back next week. We will have a show coming to you hopefully on Tuesday where we recap all the Sunday and Monday and Thursday too. So the entire week. We want the entire week of games to be done. And I kind of like that just because like sometimes you listen to the ones on Monday, the next day, and then it's like you're trying to talk about everything, but it's like but you have an entire game or sometimes 2 games that haven't even been played yet, you know.
Right.
You're like, but I want to hear about that game too. So yeah, I think shooting for Tuesdays are good because then we can just get the entire week.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That's my I love the podcast to death, but that's my one gripe with Sal and Bill Simmons is that they do theirs Sunday night before the Monday night game.
And
like that's me. Right.
And it stinks. And that one I get that they have to really because the lines are coming out and they're predicting the lines for the week.
Right, so for next week. Like, and I get that too.
And they want to place their own bets. It's like they don't want to ruin it.
Right, I get that. Yeah, but sometimes I'm just like, oh, could you record this like literally just 24 hours later?
Yeah. Or record. Yeah.
But I get it. Yeah. But at the same time, like, you know what? These guys are multimillionaires and they're really successful at what they do. So they're basically allowed to do whatever the hell they damn well please. So.
And I'm a multi-dollar-naire. I have more than $1 in my account.
Me too. I have about $1,400 into my name right now. So
1,000-aire. Okay, I'm 100-aire.
Yeah, you're 100-aire.
Yeah, I mean,
well, I am right now too. Until I get paid on Thursday, then I'll be 1,000-aire.
Yeah,
again.
I haven't quite made it to the comma So
I'm close. Give me till Thursday.
Rent was just due. So
Me
otherwise
too.
I would
Yeah,
be in
right.
the comma. Yeah, I'd be in the comma.
Yeah.
So now you know our financial situation. So please listen and share with your friends so we can get advertisements and maybe we can be more consistent thousandaires.
Maybe we could be 2,000aires.
I can't handle that.
Hit
I would
5
not,
digits.
I would be blowing that money so hard on. I don't know what you blow that money on because I just never had that much.
I would honestly blow it on a cruise. That's what I would blow it on.
Okay, so help us cruise.
I blew it on a cruise or like a deep weekend in Vegas where both the Golden Knights and Raiders are in town.
Yeah, a good.
That's
Vegas
what I'll blow it
weekend.
on.
Sure.
Yeah,
all right, folks. So it's up to you. All right, we giving you the content.
It is.
You got to give us the support, so that way we can take a vacation in our lives.
Make us 10,000aires.
Yeah.
You know,
come
in
on.
a couple years.
We're not asking a lot
Come
here,
on.
folks. All right. I'm just trying to get above the poverty line here. All right.
Damn it. Yeah,
Okay.
let's go.
But yeah, so
All right, later
listen in.
on.
We'll be back in on Tuesday. And thanks everybody for listening to the Brothers Blitz.
Yes, and also I was gonna say, feel free to especially with our week 1 predictions, feel free to mock us all you want about how wrong we were.
Yeah.
That's
right.
part of the fun of doing something like this. Like, mock us and then give us your own predictions even about where you think teams are going to end up, and then we'll playfully fight about it for the next 4.5, 5 months.
All right. That's right. So happy first NFL week for you all. Celebrate accordingly, and have a good day or night.
Stay hydrated. Hydrate or dehydrate.
All right.